Hi everyone, I'm doing my John Maxwell, and today's chapter on leadership gold, it's focusing on get in the zone and stay there. So when we focus on defining personal success, we have to know what our purpose in life is. We have to be able to grow to maximum potential and sow seeds that benefit others. So for me, I am not in a management position, and I am doing my speaking videos and uploading them for family and friends and anyone else that's interested, so that people can grow from them and learn from them. People's purpose in life is always connected to their giftedness. That's what John Maxwell says. And we have to find our strength zones. A lot of companies focus on your weaknesses and they push you into areas where they know you're going to fail, but they put you in that job anyway. But a good company will focus on your strengths and they'll help you to build on that strengths. One of the examples that John Maxwell gives is Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods is a golf player. So you don't find Tiger Woods going and playing rugby. You find him focusing on building up his strengths within his weaknesses. He might have places within golf that he's weak in, but he focuses on improving in those areas. And that's what we have to do. We have to ask ourselves, what am I doing well? We have to get specific. We have to listen what others praise us for. There'll be a lot of criticism, yes, but there'll also be people who will say, you're really good at this. Look at what you've accomplished. Look at how well you've done. Look at this area. Look at your education. I know that in my life, I have friends who do that for me. When I went through my job hunting, when I went through a period where I couldn't get work, it was my friends in Zimbabwe who said to me, Belinda, come on, look at how they're treating you. You're highly qualified, you're skilled, you've got your masters, and this is how they're treating you. You have to take whatever you get, yes, but you don't have to stay there. There's nothing wrong with looking for better, for looking for a better salary, for looking for upward mobility. So we have to look at what others praise us for. The educational sector is a good sector for me because I like to be able to put forward my own ideas. And sometimes those ideas don't match with what others like or what they suggest. And in the educational sector, we all can express our views. We all can express our differences, and they're welcomed. We have to look at the competition. What are others doing? What are they doing well? Are they doing it better than us? What can we do better to improve ourselves and get better results? So in the retail sector, it's hard when you're working in the virtual space. In the retail space, you can go downtown, you can look at the windows, you can see how people are decorating their windows, what they have in stock. But when you're doing things virtually, it's a different ball game and it's a new field. So we're learning as we're going. And also when you're dealing with customers, you don't know who you could be speaking to. You could be speaking to a head of state. I know sometimes I speak to people and they tell me I'm a diplomat and I'm in this country and I want to send something to my daughter in the US. So I treat everybody the same. I talk to everybody the same. I'm professional with everybody because I don't know. I could be talking to a diplomat or I could be talking to somebody in prison. I have had calls where I've been talking to prisoners. They've called me, they're ordering something, and they tell me, ma'am, I'm in prison and I'm ordering this for my son or my daughter, and it's a gift. And I am very sensitive. I do cry sometimes. I try not to let it show in my voice. But we all have to find out what our strengths are, what our weaknesses are, and how we can discipline ourselves to develop it in whatever work we are doing so that our companies can be successful and so that we can be successful. And our managers, our supervisors can help us to do that. Organizations exist to make people's strengths effective and their weaknesses irrelevant. And this is the work of effective leaders. That's what Francis Hasselbein says. And that's what organizations should be doing. Many of them do not. Many of them sadly put people in areas where we are not going to reach our potential. And they're doing themselves a disservice because they're not looking at where you can best be utilized. But good managers know the people on their teams. They know how to communicate so that people fit in on the team and that they complement each other, not compete with each other. Because if we're competing with each other, we're not going to achieve our results in the best way. But if we're complementing each other, if I have a strength and somebody else has a weakness, or vice versa, we can help each other. When I was working on social media, we paired up. So I had a partner, there were only 2 of us working on the social media, but we would work well together because we'd help each other. In our virtual chat room, we would say, did you get this? How did you do that? And there were only 2 of us, but we helped each other, and that's how we got through it. We were working on banking for social media. And eventually he moved on, he left the company, and I stayed, and then I got put into a different campaign. But we helped each other. And working on social media, on Twitter or Facebook or any of those platforms is no different to working with people on the phone. We still have to show the same courtesy, the same professionalism. We still have to deal with the same issues. So John Maxwell says that we should take some time to identify our strength zones. We should work with people who will help us, encourage us, and bring out our strengths. The older and more experienced you are, the more specific you should be able to be. The world is changing. A lot of things are now virtual compared to being face-to-face. So for those of us who are older, it can be quite draining because we're used to face-to-face, we're used to seeing people. You can see their facial expressions, you know how to work with them. Virtual is very different, especially when you're just working over the phones and you can't see people and you don't know how they are reacting or how they are feeling to whatever you're saying. And then we have to utilize our strengths in our jobs, and we have to find out what we can do better and what we can improve on, and how we can help our colleagues and our teams move into strength zones. So that was the mentoring moment for today, to look at our strengths and to work in our strength zones and to encourage each other to do that. Because if we're working in our weaknesses and we're working from our weaknesses, we're not benefiting anybody, least of all ourselves, and least of all our companies that we're working for. Any good company will want you to work in your strength zone, and any good company will want you to work where you can use your education, where you can use your skills, and also where your career aspirations are. A company that's not good will say, well, I'm going to put you in this role, and if it doesn't work out, well, then we'll move you, we'll try something else. But good companies over time see where you're good, where they can use you, where they can help you, and they'll move you so that you work in your strength zones. All of us go through trials and errors. All of us go through periods where we have to figure out what we're good at. But some of us know what we're good at, but we don't get those opportunities. So we have to do the best we can with what we have until we can do what we want to do. And that's another situation. But many of us are just grateful to have jobs in today's world. We come into new countries, we're immigrants, and you see other people getting ahead of you. You see other people earning big salaries, making good money, and it's discouraging and it's disheartening. But we have to persevere, we have to keep going, because if we don't believe in ourselves, nobody else is going to believe in us. A lot of people can say, oh, if I were you, this is what I do. You can say, thanks for your advice, I appreciate it, but you're not me. You lived your life, you did what you felt was good for you, so please let me live my life and let me do what I feel is good for me. One of my passions is tennis. I don't comment often, on the professional players' timelines, but there's a few players I love to follow. I love to encourage them. I love to help them. And so I do that. And that's my passion. I like to go out. I go by myself. I go and I watch tennis matches by myself. I'll go to there's a park close by here. I'll go and sit and watch the tennis players. If there's professional tennis coming up and the tickets are not expensive, I'll go and I'll watch them. And I go on my own because a lot of my friends don't have the same interest as me. But that's fine with me. I enjoy it. I make the day of it and I go and I enjoy it and then I come home. We all have to do what's best for us. I'm not in Zimbabwe anymore. I could go with my friends and say, hey, let's go to the club, let's watch tennis, let's book tickets together and go watch tennis or cricket or rugby. I'm in a different place. So it's about making the most of the moment and enjoying it. And that's what I do, and that's what works for me, and that's what lifts my spirits, and that's what helps me. So other people should do what they like and what helps them, and take the mentoring moments and use them in your daily life as an immigrant, because that's how you get through it. Otherwise, it's too hard. It's very, very hard when you come into a country. Even if you're here 20 years or 30 years, it's very, very hard because you grew up somewhere else. You have different ways, different ideas, different customs. And sometimes, I know for me, I still miss Zimbabwe. I have my Zimbabwe flag. I had one realtor who said, put that flag away. I said to her, why? It's my flag. I came from Zimbabwe and I worked for somebody who had a flag of Brazil. He hung it in his office. So we have to do whatever helps us to live, to survive, and to thrive. And that's what we can do with taking these mentoring moments and using them as immigrants.